Hey, what's up, boys and girls? Thank you for being there. You're an essential piece of the learning process, okay? So, thank you. You're a rock. You're passive leaders. Okay, topic 5. We're talking about nervous system. We're going to go through the text exercises. We have 2, 4, and 6 pages, not very long. I will emphasize the things or contents that are essential. Okay, let's go. Underline main things. Interaction process. The body's adaptation to changes that take place in our environment, as well as the coordination between different organs, is carried out thanks to interaction process. Okay, good. Which includes this interaction process are the ones to adapt the body to changing conditions, internal and external, and to connect and coordinate different parts of our body. Okay, connect and coordinate different parts of our body. So one thing is to understand the exterior, yes, our environment, and to understand the interior. Okay, since you understand that, then you connect and coordinate the different elements of our body. So this interaction process is carried out by two interconnected systems. Wow, that's a good underlinement. The nervous and the endocrine system. Yes, good. Now we're talking about a process that is to maintain our vital levels of conditions. Okay, to maintain life in our body. Homeostasis. Okay, good. Maintain the body's stability when there are changes in the internal environment. Um, since we have 37 degrees in average, and or normally in our environment we have between 20 degrees, um, we actually need to maintain the temperature. So we need to rise the temperature from the 20 degrees in the exterior to the 37 degrees in our body. That's a simple example of this. So this process allows the organs to maintain balanced conditions so that they can function properly. Even if other factors such as temperature, uh, concentration of different molecules. Okay, good. Imagine situation: drinking a lot of water with a lot of salt on it. So we need to balance that. How can we do that? Difficult. The only way we are going to solve that situation is drinking water. So we're going to be really thirsty. We're going to drink. So we need to know in the inside what's going on, and the ones that are going to analyze these circumstances in our body are essentially um, the endocrine system. Okay, the endocrine system um, active some areas of our brain to make us desire water. We are thirsty. We need to drink. Homeostatic process work like a feedback device. So we drink a lot of water salt, or with a lot of salt, we're thirsty, our endocrine system gets on, nervous system gets on, you drink water. You drink water, the concentration of salts decrease, then you're not thirsty anymore. until the next moment. Your salts are getting low, getting high, and your water getting low. Endocrine system, nervous system ask you to drink. Yes, and then you maintain your body hydrated. This means that when a variation is detected in particular element, a series of mechanisms in our body starts up to make the variation return to its normal state. Very good. So we have here a basic example of this, talking about sugar. I hate sugar, you know that. So this is a normal glucose level. Yeah. So we drink we drink a lot of Coke. Yes, Coca-Cola, and with a lot of glucose, pancreas detect these high glucose levels, secretes insulin, and then glucose is getting inside of the cells, not in the bloodstream anymore. So the normal glucose level in blood. Yeah. Now what's happening is that you maintain an active way of living, and then your your cells need glucose to put in the mitochondria, with oxygen generating CO2, water, and energy. Yes, we need energy to move. So these cells are asking, hey, we don't have glucose. What's happening? The pancreas generate glucagon, which is the hormone that activates liver, and liver release glucose. Okay, liver is the organ that stores, ¿vale? Almacena glucosa, glucógeno, grasa. Okay, when we drink a lot of Coca-Cola, the liver is going to pack all the glucose into glucogen. When we still are drinking Coke constantly, we're transforming glucose into glucagon. Glucagon is not stored enough, so we need to pack the glucose in a more concentrated space, and we transform glucagon into fat to store energy in a shorter space. Yes? Yeah. So when the pancreas say, "Hey, we don't have," when the cells say, "We don't have glucose," pancreas says, "Oh, we don't have glucose in bloodstream. It's getting too low." So the pancreas generate glucagon. Glucagon activates liver. Liver delivers the liver delivers glucose into the bloodstream. Yes. So the cells can get the glucose. Yeah. So how that happens? Because pancreas detects, ooh, we have a lot of glucose in the bloodstream, so I'm going to generate insulin. And then the insulins are like the keys for the doors in the membranes of the cells. So the insulins arrive to the door of the membrane of the cell, click, open the door, and the glucose can get in the cell. Yes? So what happens is that the glucose in the bloodstream decrease. Yeah? In a certain level, the glucose in the bloodstream is so low that the pancreas say, oh my god, I need to generate glucagon. Glucagon activates liver, and liver delivers glucose into the bloodstream. And since we have a lot of glucose into the bloodstreams, what's going to happen in the pancreas? Pancreas is going to generate, and therefore the glucose in the bloodstream can get inside of to generate energy in the mitochondria. So what happens is that the That's it. The glucose level in the bloodstream decrease. And this is constantly activated, never stops. Never stops. Okay? Good. But the ratio of our living processes is like we don't have to activate the pancreas to generate insulin constantly. And we need to generate small and smooth quantities of insulin. And we cannot being exposed constantly to high peaks of glucose intake. We need to eat complex carbohydrates in nuts, ¿vale? Frutos secos, and other complex carbohydrates like cereals. Okay, and that's it. No sugar, no processed food, no bakery with a lot of sugar. No, that's not good. Good intake of carbohydrates. We need complex carbohydrates. That's are the good ones because we don't want pancreas to generate and pumping constantly high peaks of insulin. What systems are involved in the homeostatic process? Endocrine and nervous. When will there be high blood sugar level? When will there be a high blood sugar level? In two ways. When liver is delivering glucose because of glucagon from the pancreas, or when we are eating too much simple carbohydrates. Okay, that is going to boom to make an injection of insulin. That's not good for our whole body as an organism. Analyze, investigate the parallelism that exists between a homeostatic process and how heating thermostat works and write about it. Okay, very simple. We heat our body, and if we overheat, we have a thermometer that when the temperature rise too much, then we stop, we turn off the heater of our body. Okay, as simple as that. Good. 1.2 systems that participate in the interaction process. The organs and systems involved in the interaction process work the following way. The sensory organs receive information from the environment in the form of stimuli that the information is transferred and transformed into nerve impulses that's transferred to the nervous systems. The nervous system receives the information, processes it, and gives a response which is transferred to the effector organs. The effector, okay, gives the response. Effector organs. Yeah, the effectors carry out the order. Okay, transmitted to the nervous system, and the nervous system, the central nervous system is the encephalus that is generating the response and then is sending the message to the effector organs. The effector organs are grouped into three systems: skeletal, muscular, and endocrine. The skeletal and muscular endocrine, made up of bones and muscles respectively, are responsible for body movement, the motor response. This is also called locomotor system. The endocrine system and we have endocrine system that produce regulating hormones. The skeletal and muscular system are related with body movement. Locomotor system is also called locomotor system, skeletal and muscular together. Okay, and endocrine generating hormones for different body functions. The mechanisms of our nervous system can be represented through this diagram. Okay, changes produced in our environment and in our bodies are called stimuli. Yeah, changes produced in our environment is in our bodies in our bodies are called stimuli. The information of changes in the captured by special organs are known sensory organs that detect these changes. The organs transmitted to the information transmitted to some integrated and coordinated organs are response and a response is created by the nervous system. That's the important thing. Nervous system, and is generating signals transmitted to organs that are responsible for acting. They are known as effector organs. These and the effector organs are part of the locomotor system or the endocrine system. Look the stimulus response mechanism. Name the stimulus, the sensory organ, and the effector organ involved in the process of moving your hands once it has been pricked by something sharp. Okay, this is a voluntary or involuntary action. It's involuntary action. Why? We will explain it later on, but since the signal when we cut ourselves or we burn ourselves, we just touch something and there is no response waiting to act from our brain. It's directly going through the nerves to the spine cord and then coming back to your muscle, and you just reflex. There is a reflection action. Yes, es un acto reflejo. So one of the tests to know if our nerves are working properly is just a little bit of a hit under our knee when we have a very sensible nerve, and if it's working properly, it's going to the to the spine cord and coming back to the effective effector locomotor system, and we just kick. Yeah, so you can try at home. It's very funny. So give an example of, well, we detect or sensible organs, sensory organs, are generating an impulse that goes directly to the spine cord, and from the spine cord to the locomotor system to make a response, just to kick. Yeah, when you are hitting under the knee, or in this case, is going from your finger to spine cord, and spine cord effective effector locomotor system movement. Yeah. Give an example of a voluntary and involuntary action. Can you think of a typical involuntary action that can also be carried out voluntarily? Yeah, of course. You just see something and you make a response. Oh my God. So it's a bit lazier, or it's a bit it takes more time, but in comparison with the reflect action, but not all the movements we can generate can be done consciously or by a reflection. Name the stimulus, the sensory organ, and the effector organ involved. Yes, when you cut yourself, when you burn yourself, yes, these actions can be also being conscious. Could the interaction process work without effector organs? Explain why. The interaction organs, which it will be impossible to have effector organs because the effector organs also work as sensory organs. When you hit yourself in a muscle, this muscle can be an effector. Yes, when you want to kick a ball, your muscles are the effectors. Yes, so you are doing a response from your brain and kick the ball in the proper way to hit the ball and send it to the score. Yeah, in the football match. Mm, but these organs are also activated when you are hidden by a defender. Yes, when you're fighting to get the ball. Yes, in a football match. So there is no all organs can be effectors or um, and and also um, sensory organs. For example, skin. How the skin? Well, yes, um, when you are you feel cold, your hair, yes, es como se me eriza el pelo, se me pone el pelo de gallina cuando tengo frío, ¿no? So the skin has temperature receptors and also has muscles and small reactive areas in the hair to make it like a porcupine. Yes, that's the word. Porcupine, el porcospín, yeah, when you erizas los pelos de la piel. Key concepts: the body reacts to changes and keeps conditions inside the body constant thanks to nervous and endocrine system. In the interaction process, the nervous, endocrine, muscular, and skeletal systems and their mechanism follow this outline. Yeah, good. Uh, this is the same we were through. Very simple. Neuron and electrical signals, very interesting. So we have neurons and the transmission of information between neurons through electrical signals is the nerve impulse. Good. The neuron. Neurons are the most specialized cells in the body. Their capacity for reproduction is very limited. They are made up of cell body, which is similar to all other cells, and has two kinds of long extensions: dendrites, axons, and dendrites. Yeah. Cell body. This contains the nucleus and other organelles and is filled with cytoplasm. Axon. This is a long extension that is made up of cytoplasm and carries nerve impulses from cell body to another, that's important, to another neuron. Okay, so dendrites. These are short branch extensions of the cell body that receive, that's very important, receive nerve impulse from other neurons. And this is it, carries nerve impulse from the cell body to, yes, so the direction is like that. Yeah, so the impulse is going in this direction, and impulses are coming this way um, from other neurons. Yeah, that's the mechanism. Yeah, neurons can be categorized by different criteria. We are going to study two ways of categorizing them. depending on their structure and depending on the function. Depending on their structure, neurons can be unipolar, yes, unipolar, depending on their function, unipolar, multipolar, or bipolar, yes. Depending on their function, neurons are classified into three kinds: sensory neurons, motor, sensory, motor, and interneurons. Yeah, interneurons. Sensory neurons. These transmit information from the receptor to the most important nerve centers. Nerve motors. These transmit the signals from the nerve centers to the effector organs. Nerve centers to the effector, yes, to activate the muscle. So these neurons can have different activations from other neurons that are reaching the multipolar cell neuron. Yeah, unipolar. This is like a receptor in the skin, and it doesn't need any neuron to activate this neuron. It's activated with a change in the environment close to the neuron, and then a nerve impulse is triggered, ¿vale? Es encendido. Good. Multipolar with many impulses that can come from other neurons to the multipolar, and these only have two. Okay, only two ways of activation, from the upper part and from the bottom part. Yes, good. Electrical signals. Yeah, neurons have a unique ability. They generate and transmit nerve impulses. When a neuron is stimulated, some electrical changes originate in the membrane, and these transmit the electrical signal from the dendrites towards the action. So, they can generate themselves the impulse and transmit it, in just is the case of the unipolar, or they can be stimulated by other. Yes. And when the neuron is stimulated, some electrical changes on it originate in the membrane, and these transmit the electrical signal from dendrites towards the action. Yes, from dendrites towards the action. Yeah, good. Neurons are not isolated. They work with one another to establish connections called synapses, which allow the nerve impulses to cross from one neuron to another. The synapse is found between the end of an action and of one neuron and the dendrite of adjacent neuron. Okay, these links, these spaces between the neurons are called synapses. It was discovered by Ramon y Cajal. Ramon y Cajal get the Nobel Prize for detecting that the neurons are not linked; they're separated. We have a gap between these two neurons. This is the synaptic space, and a Spanish researcher did that. Okay, and it's used in every single research related with nerve system is based on what Ramon y Cajal did. So we need to be proud of our researchers, and he was doing that during the no diré much, la Segunda República. So there neuron of an adjacent. There is no physical contact between neurons. Although they are very near each other, there is always a small gap between them. This is this gap is called synaptic cleft. This is space cleft. So another research that was called Golgi. Golgi was saying that this space doesn't exist. So the the tissue, the nervous tissue was an exception de la teoría celular, que la teoría celular dice que todo está formado por células. But in this case, no. Golgi thought that all it was like a big mess of network, a big net of a big cell with different nucleus, because he couldn't see the space between the neurons. That was the thing that Ramon y Cajal was able to see, the space between neurons. This gap is called synaptic cliff. There are very small vesicles at the axon terminal, a big-like structure covered in membrane, that contain a substance called neurotransmitters. When the nerve impulse gets to the axon terminal, the vesicles break up, and the neurotransmitters are released into the synaptic cliff. There they join the dendrite membrane of the adjacent neuron, and then the nerve pulse can be started in the new neuron. You can see here, yes? These are the synapses from one neuron to another. Yes, this is the axon, and it's going to reach the dendrites of the second neuron. The synapses are controlled. There are joints. When the nerve impulses get to the axon terminal, the vesicles break up, and the neurotransmitters are released into the synaptic cliff. There they join the dendrite. Well, the synapses are the control points for transmitting electrical signals. Depending on the type of neurotransmitters and the frequency and the intensity of the impulse, they can be continuous or non-continuous, or they can release all the vesicles we have here and then release all the neurotransmitters to the synaptic space. Yeah, we have the mitochondria, the vesicles, the synaptic cliff. This area is the dendrite of the adjacent neuron. Yeah, and so therefore the impulse of the dendrite is generated when the receptors of these neurotransmitters of the next neuron, so the impulse reach the axon synapses, then we release all the neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitters are linked and activate the receptors in the membrane of the dendrites of the second neuron, and therefore these neurotransmitters are going to change the interior of this axon and generate an impulse. Yeah? You will see next year. It's very, very interesting in a more detailed way. There are two types of neural pathways or circuits: divergent and convergent. The divergent pathways and the convergent pathways. So, one is very interesting. One neuron is generating an impulse that activates three of them. These three can activate another another amount of neurons. This is like an infection of the virus of coronavirus. One person can infect many other, and this person is going to infect many other. So we have a big response. And convergent pathways is multiple neurons are activating one, and this one is activating one, and one. And this is very simple. Yes. Activation. So key concepts. Neurons are cells in the nervous system. Very good. They are made up of cell body and two types of long extension, dendrites and axons. Neurons can generate electrical signals that are transmitted to other neurons through synapse. Yes, very interesting thing. You need to remember that name. And this synaptic cleft, yeah, neurotransmitters at the end of the action terminal. Vesicles break up and they join the dendrite membrane of adjacent neuron. And it depends on the frequency and intensity of the impulse. We can free and break up these vesicles, all of them, some of them, or the frequency. Yeah, frequency. And I'm going to show you a clip about she in computer animation, I think.
How does the pain you experience when you burn your hand result so quickly in an action by your muscles? Many animals respond to environmental stimuli using specialized cells called neurons. A stimulus is detected by sensory receptors, and the body responds through motor effectors. These cells working together allow you to respond very quickly to threat.
Maybe a bit long, but yes.
The process of neural transmission that underlies this action occurs in all neurons of the body. Neurons transmit this information through changes in the electrical potential of the membrane by the movement of ions across the membrane. Is called the synaptic cleft. The presynaptic neuron contains signal molecules called neurotransmitters that are packaged inside vesicles. When an action potential reaches the end of a neuron, neurotransmitters are released by exocytosis from the neuron into the synaptic cleft. Neurotransmitters bind to the adjacent cell at receptor sites attached to ion channels. The channels open, allowing the movement of ions into or out of the effector cell, which alters its membrane potential, thereby transmitting the signal from the neuron to the effector cell. Transmitting the signal from the neuron to the effector cell.
This is very interesting. Okay, the sodium is in the outside of the cell at the beginning. Yes, so when the neurotransmitter is linked to the channel, ion channel,
the channels open.
Then the sodium is getting inside of the nerve system, and so the neuron in the interior gets polarized positively. That's how is the impulse transmitted. Yeah. Good. Knowing that, we continue. 3. Nervous system. In addition to centralizing and processing information that reach our body, the nerve system carries out the following functions. It receives information interprets the information and prepares adequate response, transfers the necessary signal to the effector. Yes. Okay, effector. Prepare adequate response, sensory organs. It coordinates all organs so that they function correctly in our body. It carries out intellectual and mental functions. Yeah, cognitive. In response of emotions and feelings. Yeah, we're not a machine that is like you have a response. So you are a scratch. Imagine the situation. You are a little kid and you are scratched by a cat. Then you are scared of cats. Yes, you're not like a machine. Oh, yes, I've been scratched by a cat. This impulse is printing in your brain that maybe cats are not very friendly, so you are scared of cats since that moment. So you have a mental cognition, and you remember that. Nervous system is made up of central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Yes. So the central nervous system is based on the encephalus and the spinal cord, spine, and the skull is the no el hueso, and the encephalus is the el cerebro, yes, the brain. There are three it's made up of nerve centers, which are responsible for integrating information received, coordinating, integrating, coordinating it, and preparing their response. God, man. God, I need to go. Is made up of brain and spinal cord due to importances of frailness and of each structure that they are protected from possible injuries. Yes, so we are protecting our spinal cord. We have this. There are three membranes: meninges, dura, and pia mater, and arachnoid. Yeah, in our brain is the more superficial, and then arachnoid, pia mater, and brain. Yes, these membranes are affected by constant impacts. For example, people that box, to practice boxing for a long time, especially from early age, they have brain damage. Okay, and the brain's damage starts with these three layers that protect the main brain. Yes, so that's important. I think I told you in class. It's a film about Brian in football. It's was El Príncipe de Bel-Air, macho, Will Smith. You need to check out this film. Yes, the Concussion is called. Very, very good. It's based on true events. There is a doctor that was researching about the why some American footballers were suffering from um pain, Alzheimer, Parkinson, or they had tremendous rage, ataques de pánico o ataques de violencia. So, and there are many examples of American football players that they commit crimes. So they are affected in the brain because of the concussions they have constantly along their sport career. So I really and hardly recommend using helmets in every sport you practice. Okay, because brain is very difficult to treat. If you have an impact in the body, they can manipulate. You can massage. You have a bandage, and you immobilize that, and you don't move it. But in the case of the brain, if you have an impact, it's very difficult. How you manipulate your brain to solve this situation properly, this damage properly. It's very difficult. So the best thing is to be conscious about the risks that we can have if we impact the skull. Okay. Good. And the spinal cord, we have a spinal nerve. This is the vertebral body, and we have here protected. We have the spinal cord and the spinach process, pedicle. And the question is, do we have to remember all these names? No. Okay. I'm going to tell you which names you're going to remember. Okay. So you're going to remember instead of this dura, arachnoid, pia mater, and brain, and these are called meninges. What you're going to know is that meninges ¿sabéis la enfermedad meningitis? La meningitis viene del daño cerebral que se produce en las distintas capas del cerebro, de las meninges, ¿vale? Entonces había un daño neuronal por un virus, ¿vale? El virus de la meningitis que afecta al desarrollo neuronal. ¿Vale? Entonces, en vez de aprendernos todos estos, con que nos aprendamos esto en una foto, te pongo los nombres estos: 1, 2, 3, 4 y 5. The central nervous system is made up of two types of tissue: gray matter, which is mainly neuron cell bodies, and dendrites, which control centers of carry out certain functions, and white matter, that is generally axons covered by myelin. Myelin is maybe it's represented here. Yeah, myelin is all this. Here we have the cell of Schwann that is covering the action with fat. This is why I'm paying too much attention in the diet you're taking, because if you're taking good diet, you're taking good fat. Yeah, not the ones from the Los Bollos. No. The ones from those bollos, no. So we don't have good fat, no tenemos buena grasa, pues vamos a usar las que tengamos para proteger nuestro...
causing them to contract.
Sorry. Para proteger nuestra acción. So, if you want to construct something with cables, yes, would you use something like really thin and really not very good plastic that protects the cable? No, you will have a really good plastic to protect the cable. So this is the action, yes, and this is the end of the action. And when you plug something, yes, you plug this into the computer, yes, these are the dendrites, and this action is protected by the myelin, yes, good fat. Buena grasa, buena grasa. Hay que tomar buena grasa. What's a good fat? The good fat is Mediterranean fat. That comes from basically from oil, olive oil, virgin one, aceite de oliva virgen extra, and fats from salmon, sardinas, and tuna. These are good fat, okay? And also from nuts. That's perfect, ¿vale? La grasa de los frutos secos, ¿vale? Nueces, almendras, básicamente, nueces de macadamia, pipas de calabaza, pipas de girasol, vamos, todas las semillas que podáis comer, ¿eh? Eso es construir vuestros axones with good fat, ¿ok? Investigate and explain why doctors carry out lumbar puncture to extract cerebrospinal fluid from lumbar vertebrae to diagnose meningitis. That is what it's called, because this virus is located there in the nervous system. Yes, and it's degrading. It's degrading the nervous system. So we need to extract from there where the virus is hidden or is infected. Yes. The spinal cord. The spinal cord is a cord of nerve tissues that runs through the spinal canal. The gray matter, which is shaped like a butterfly wings, is found in the center. The white matter is found in the outer area of the spinal cord. Okay, so this is tricky. Okay, because the gray matter, which is shaped like a butterfly wings, is found in the center. Is found in the center. Here in the center. This is a gray matter. But in the case of the brain, here, in the case of the brain, the gray matter is in the outside layer. Yeah, the gray matter neuron are in the exterior part of the brain. Yeah, and the white matter with myelin is in the inside. Is the opposite as in here. Yeah, because the white matter is found in the area in the spinal cord, in the exterior. Yeah, in the peripheria. There is a small channel in the gray matter that is called ependema, ¿vale? Which runs from top to bottom of the contains cerebrospinal fluid. Nerves start from the spinal cord and reach all parts of the body except the head. Yeah. The spinal cord has two functions. It produces reflex actions, as I told you, goes directly to the spinal cord, and the spinal cord coming back as a response of effector to just take out the hand from fire or something that hurts. And you cannot even feel the heat. You are actually, when you're burning yourself, it's like you're actually taking your hand out without knowing why. It carries sensory reflex action. There are actions happening due to a response to a stimulus without the brain practicing. It carries sensory nerve impulses towards the brain and motor nerve impulses from the brain to effector organs. As a result, the brain receives the information and sends it to an organ that can modify a reflect action. Yes? Investigate and write the meaning of paraplegia and tetraplegia. Okay, paraplegia is it's that parts of your spinal cord or nerves are destroyed. Yes. But a tetraplegic is that you cannot move your forearms on the forearms, your arms and your legs. That's tetra. Tetra means four. Okay, so we have synaptic trunks, spinal cord, meninges. Yeah, we have the spinal nerve, communicative branch, synaptic trunk ganglia. Yeah, good. Look at the drawing and the spinal cord and answer the following question. What will happen if the fibers